Hello, my beauties. How are you? Come in. Come in. Take a deep breath and sit down. Today's video is about our emotions and the way that we feel. But before I get started into that, the last video I made about transforming our perception into perspective, I just want to clarify a little bit because I kind of was confusing the two a lot actually when I went back and I watched the video. I was just like, okay, that you definitely meant to say perspective when you said perception and vice versa. So, perception, turning perception into perspective. Perception is how we perceive things through our senses. So the things that we see, the things that we touch, what we hear, what we feel, that is our perception. Perspective is how that sensory information, how we interpret that information to make the best decision for our world in general, whether it's our personal world and ultimately how that impacts the people around us. So for example, I am drinking a beverage that is hot, okay? The beverage, my sensory, how I am interpreting or perceiving the beverage is that it is hot, okay? Now, that is my perception. My perspective is I am drinking this hot beverage so it can soothe my throat, so that way when I go to talk in front of a large group of people, my voice is not raspy. It feels clear, it feels fluid, it feels nice and easy. So that's perception and perspective. Basically, it's your subjective lens transformed into your objective lens. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I will link that video in the description if you're interested in watching it. But today, I want to talk about something very specific, and that is about how we need to stop making other people accountable for the way that we feel. So we do this with people, we do this with our government, we do this with our job, we do it with our circumstances. We make everybody, everything else responsible and accountable for how we feel. But those two things are not connected whatsoever. We are ultimately accountable for the way we feel. But where does this come from? Well, like most things, it usually, in general, originated from when we were children. Because when we were children, whoever were our parents or our caregivers, in general, again, most people who raised us were giving us things that we needed, not the things that we wanted. So food, shelter, clothing, these kind of basic necessities were in general always provided for us. But when we were kids, we didn't have the emotional and mental landscape and maturity to differentiate between the things that we needed and the things that we wanted. So that we in general merge the two, so that way we can communicate to our caregivers how our desires, how our wants felt so strong to us, so they in turn would provide us with those things that we quote unquote needed, even though they were just wants, they were just desires. And that's how you get 2-year-olds throwing temper tantrums in the middle of the airport, is because in their brain, in their mind, it's two things. They have identified themselves with that thing. So they cannot separate themselves from the cookie, for example, and themselves. They see the cookie and themselves as one. So when you take it away, it's like you're taking my arm, you're taking a piece of me away. And number two, again, children, people who have not developed or are not in a developing mode of deepening and heightening their consciousness, operate at a childish mental landscape, meaning we confuse our desires, our needs with our wants. And since we were never given the tools or didn't properly cultivate the tools as we got older to learn to see the difference in the two of those, now this is how you have so many grown-ass people throwing temper tantrums over things that are not even, if you look at them again from a perspective, and not from a perception point of view, you would kind of be able to differentiate them from desire and necessity. But unfortunately, a lot of the people who raised us, who took care of us, they either wanted us to shut the fuck up, so they just gave in to whatever we wanted, or they really, wanted to give us the things that they quote unquote didn't have, so they gave in to a lot of these temper tantrums that we threw when we were kids. When I was a kid, I was very strong-willed. I was two things at the same time. I was very strong-willed and I was very, very sensitive. So me and my mom used to go back and forth all the time, is because I had such a strong desire to get my point across, to make her try to feel what I was feeling and try to understand the importance of it. But of course, when you're an adult, and obviously I'm an adult now, looking at my behavior as a child, it was completely inappropriate. And, when you're talking about it's 7:00 in the morning, I got to get the kids out the door, got to get these kids to school. Why are you giving me such a hard time over what you're going to wear? Just pick something, or the thing that you picked last night, and just wear it, right? But obviously I'm an adult now. I can rationalize those things. Unfortunately, when we make others accountable for the way we feel, what are we doing? We are just willingly giving our power away. We are just saying, here it is. This right here, this thing that is so precious to me, that should be so sacred to me, here you go. You can just take it. You are empowering the thing that is quite often a desire, and desires are important. This is America. Anything anybody feels like they have earned or want, go ahead and indulge in it. But at some point, you really do need to grow up in your consciousness and learn to differentiate between, okay, is this something that is going to bring about the best version of myself? Am I willing and am I comfortable giving my power away to this thing that ultimately is indifferent to my desire to it, really? Because I can feel so strongly about this person or this circumstance or this relationship that I feel is accountable for my feelings, when on their side they're just like, meh, it's just like I could take it or leave it, it's whatever. It's not as serious to them as it's life or death to you. And it really is life or death. When you are giving away your power, when you are consciously or unconsciously giving away your power, that is the death of 1,000 cuts. It's not just all at one. It's not one fell swoop. It happens over time. It's like a drip of a faucet. And I wrote something down about healing, and I wanted to make sure that I got it correct. I think I can remember. When we are speaking of a healing journey and being on a endeavoring to grow and to heal and to elevate and deepen our consciousness, that is not a linear process. That is not A plus B equals C. No, that's not the way life works. It is a very dynamic roller coaster of a ride. So especially when you are talking about generational wounds, generational trauma, that healing is not going to come quickly. And it shouldn't. Anything that is worth having and worth having like for real is going to require it's going to require some energy, it's going to require some work, it's going to require some force. Anything that you get without really having to work for it, do you end up really cherishing it? Or is it just something that's like, again, it can be indifferent. You're like, okay, well, what do you want to eat? I don't care. What do you want to eat? I don't care. It's like, there are people out there who don't have anything to eat or don't know where the next meal is coming from. It's all, that's why shifting your consciousness from perception to perspective is guaranteed to change your life, because it just helps you to look at things from a 30,000 eagle eye view of things. So healing is not linear. It is dynamic. It's going to take some time. Also, when you are giving your power away, that is a battle of sorts. It's either conscious, you're either doing it with intention, or you are unconscious of it. And any battle, don't get it twisted, that you partake in, anytime you give your power away, you are in battle with yourself. You are never in battle with the other person. You are always in battle with yourself. When you are in any type of battle, you are battling the parts of yourself that are healed or the parts of you that are unhealed. You are battling the parts of yourself that are growing or are stagnant. You are always in battle with yourself. It's not about the other person. It is about you. I made a TikTok post about this the other day because I felt so strongly about it. I am so intrigued with this notion that we all have about being right, about needing to be right. And I feel like that really stems from the same acorn of thought as confusing desires and your necessities and giving your power away through your feelings. We are so obsessed with trying to be right and trying to win every argument that we compromise our peace, we compromise our capacity for compassion, we compromise our humanity because we are just so hell-bent on being right. But would you rather be right, or do you want relationships? Do you want to be right, or would you like to remain employed? Because that is a very, that really does rub people the wrong way when you feel like you have to control a narrative. The most interesting people, in my experience, are usually the people, and it does happen, but 9 times out of 10 are usually the people who are quiet, who come into a room or come into a meeting, or are the type of people who don't talk much, but then when they do talk, everything that they say has value. Everybody is always listening to the things that they say because they don't talk that much. And I feel like the people who are always talking, you just kind of like walk up to them and then you like look around, you're like, were we in the middle of a conversation that I didn't know about? Because you just like started talking. That is a tell sign to me. I'm like, okay, is this person attempting to just basically word vomit, or are they trying to connect with me? Are they trying to connect with my humanity? That's why optimal breathing is so important, because when you slow down, it causes other people to slow down. We are reflections of one another. When things show up that are the opposite of what you need, or a feeling that you wanted to have. Let's say you wanted to feel an attraction towards someone that maybe is just not there anymore, or You wanted to have forgiveness for someone, but you're just not there yet. That contrast is showing you what your wants and desires actually are. Because when something is not a yes, it is always a no. Whenever something comes to your mind, a decision, any circumstance that you can think of, the most essential way to be able to evaluate whether or not it is something that you want to put yourself into and go down that path is if it doesn't feel like a yes in your body, then it's always a no. Always. And don't question it. Just trust. I love this metaphor that I've had for years, like dogs don't question when they feel in danger. They just fucking cross the street, They're not worried about hurting somebody's feelings. They're not worried about, they are trying to protect themselves. And we have to be practiced at that as well. We have to be practiced and this doesn't feel right. Something in this doesn't feel right. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't feel like it's for me. So I'm going to step away. And whether or not it is revealed to me why this didn't feel right or not is not my concern right now. My concern right now is listening to my inner self and being accountable for the way I feel. Because we project our feelings onto other people and then we want to make them responsible for whatever behavior comes. And that is not how things go. We have to be the accountable adults. We're not children anymore. We have to be accountable for the things and the situations that we put ourselves in. But that starts with not allowing others to be accountable for the way that you feel. Take accountability for the way that you feel, because it's all about focus. It's all about what you choose to focus on. Are you going to focus on the fact that, I just got off the train, it's 11:30 midnight, and there is a man walking behind me. There's nobody around. He is clearly following me. Am I going to focus on the feeling of that little terror that I feel of, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen? Or am I going to focus on, okay, I need to let this person know you picked the wrong one. I'm not the one to be fucked with. You can follow me if you want to, but it's not going to go how you think it's going to go. Focus. What are you going to focus on? And if you do find yourself in that situation, plant your feet, look them in the eye. Look them in the eye and then look them up and down so you can identify them. Look at that thing straight on, whatever it is, so you can know in your body if it's a yes or if it's a no. Face it. Look at it. Examine it. But it starts with you. Start to cultivate this by looking in the mirror and just being observant of yourself in the mirror. Be observant of your facial expressions. Be observant of how you smile. Be observant of the moles on your face. Be observant of the way that the thoughts that you have. Be curious about yourself, I say it all the time, and I have had it demonstrated by my so many immature parenting that I was subjected to, is that, so often I was so caught up in trying to be the mature one that I wasn't really focused on, okay, is this situation best for me? Does this bring me peace? Am I being called to a higher self? This is all about practice, though. It is all a practice. Be accountable for the way that you feel, and it's okay. Our feelings, the beauty in life is the absolute duality of it. The beauty in life is I can feel this feeling of jealousy. But, if I'm feeling this feeling of jealousy, that's only because it has an equal and opposite feeling that something else is going to show me whether I choose to get to it on the other side or whether I delve more deeply into that jealousy. That's your decision to make. But nothing is just one thing. Everything exists as polar opposites of one another. Things are always moving and equal in opposite directions. Newton's third law of physics, and I'm going to butcher this. If something is in motion, it's going to continue to stay in motion. You know, these things are true. These are truisms. Lean on them, depend on them, be accountable for how you feel. Thank you so much for showing up. You are doing the work. You are showing up, and I see you. You are not allowing yourself to be defined by the things that are happening to you. You are choosing yourself. You are choosing positive connections. Check out this next video, and I'll see you next time, friends.